Good morning, guys. Welcome to our channel, Divine Truth Tarot. I am your intuitive guide and your reader today. And we're going to be looking into the energies of the divine feminine, divine masculine. Now, for this particular reading, this is a gift to the divine feminine. I wanted to just assist the divine feminine with the current challenges. And I wanted to specifically channel in this reading the gifts that come through with separation. I focus a lot on twins and separation and, excuse me. And so I wanted to give a gift to the divine feminine in separation. Now, this could be partial separation or full separation. And even if you're not a twin in separation, I do think you'll find some valuable information and resources in this reading because most twins at some point in time do go through a separation phase, even if it's brief. I'm not saying all twins, the phases don't necessarily have to happen, in my opinion, but most of us do. There's an ego death that we need to go through. There may be some sort of shift that needs to take place or healing internally. There's an inner union that we need to reach. So many things can come up, which can sort of create a situation where we just need to balance out our energies a little bit more. So that can at times create a separation. So we're going to be looking into those energies. And if you guys are feeling out of sorts, if you're feeling confused, if you're feeling drained, fatigued, if you're feeling like you're in a void or a dark night of the soul, please go check out my videos from yesterday because I talked a lot about, I actually spent the first 5 minutes of the first video talking all about the ascension symptoms and why this is happening. And I think that'll really benefit any of you who are feeling those things and maybe feeling like you're alone. So I just want to reassure you that you're not alone. I'm currently in a void space myself. Really, the only thing that I can do right now is make green smoothies, go to yoga, and do my readings and sleep a lot. And that's basically what I'm doing. It's sort of just like surviving. But we are in this preparation phase leading up to November 30th's partial lunar eclipse full moon in Gemini. And we also, of course, have the energy of the winter solstice coming December 21st. And then we have, with that, Jupiter and Saturn both moving into Aquarius at 0 degrees, which is going to create the beginning of the age of Aquarius. So we still have a lot of things to pack in here, astrologically speaking, for the last few weeks of this year. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. I'm just trying to find the right angle here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. And today I have the Work Your Light Oracle, the Earth Magic Oracle, and the Elemental Oracle. We're going to start with the Elemental Oracle. And we are going to clear, where is that selenite? We're going to go ahead and just clear. I have this beautiful... This isn't my winged selenite, but this is my other stick with selenites. And we're just going to go ahead and just clear the energy, clear the cards. I'll clear my energy. This is the first reading of the day, but go ahead and clear, clear my green smoothie, my water. All right, there we go. And just inviting in the energies of the archangels, inviting in the energies of the ascended masters, inviting my higher self, my guides, and my light team to be here as well. We just ask that you create a sphere of protection around this reading, around myself, and around anyone who does watch this reading at any point in time. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So looking for clarity on the separation that many first waivers have been in for the majority of 2020 and the gifts in separation. So Spirit, can you please assist us with understanding the gifts of separation? The gifts of separation. I'll give it one more shuffle. These cards are so easy to shuffle. Some cards are, it depends on the card stock, but these are very shiny and shuffly. I'll just meet up that word. Motion, air, beautiful. Okay. Okay, they want me to go ahead and start with that. So that's a lot of clarity in the first card already. So The gifts in separation is that even though it looks like you're going backwards, even though it looks like nothing is happening, what's really happening is a whole bunch of turbulence, not necessarily turbulence, but a whole bunch of motion, okay, behind the scenes. Air represents motion. So when we see the swords energy in the tarot deck, it represents motion. It represents the mind, the wheels turning, and it represents things moving forward. So what we have here very much feels like, it's funny because it feels like an 8 of Wands energy of rushing and charging forward, but with the element of air. So the element of fire and air, and I see the air element moving things forward. It's like the wind ushering in the change and the motion. So when we go through the standstill period where we're in separation and it feels like the connection is at a standstill and nothing is happening, even though you're developing individually, or you're reaching inner union, you're doing your healing, and you're having these insights and aha moments. You say, well, I don't see anything happening in the 3D. So this is essentially confirming that the 3D is an illusion. It's deceptive, it's deceiving. And that what we need to do is look within to realize that there's actually a lot of motion happening right now for twins that are in separation. And that's the gift of separation, is it's going to lead to forward movement. It's going to lead to movement in the physical. So let me just take a look. And we have 2-2 also. Fours have been a very significant number in my readings. This is about finding freedom. Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you. So it's funny because it does mention in the book the chaos and how when air is destructive, it's disconnected, chaotic, undisciplined, and untethered. But it's also associated with the breath. It's associated with the lungs, the voice, music, winds, storms. It's the element of communication, okay? So that's why Gemini, who the lunar eclipse on the 30th is in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is an air sign. So I do see forward movement and communication coming forward. And I just saw 7:17 on the clock there, which tells me physical movement, physical forward movement is indeed happening for some that have been in separation for quite a while. Be mindful of your thoughts. Be mindful of your communication at this time. You know, with anytime we have an eclipse, it can definitely indicate volatility. It can definitely indicate chaos and turbulence. So you just want to be mindful because it is in the sign of communication and it is in the sign of the twins. So I do think that communication is coming. And ironically, my throat chakra is acting up again after several days of having no cough and no clearing of the throat. And here it is again. So I do think that there is a throat chakra clearing going on for a lot of twins right now. And be mindful of your energy, be mindful of your thoughts, and do not lead yourself or allow yourself to move towards those chaotic thoughts, those disturbed thoughts, because it's really simple right now. We opened a portal on 11/11, we walked through it, and we hit the new moon on November 15th in Scorpio. Now we have a full moon coming up on November 30th. So there's a lot of shifts and changes coming up very rapidly. There's rapid movement forward here in the collective. So this is basically giving you hope and saying, don't fear. I know it looks like your connection is on the back burner, but there's so much movement collectively around the globe in individuals, in your connections, that you just can't necessarily see it yet. Also, we have protection, cave. This card continues to come up a lot in my readings over the past 2 weeks and in the individual private readings as well. So what this tells me is that there is this element of protection that we create when we go into separation. I'm hearing that some of you need to work on opening your heart. Some of you may feel like your heart is open and it's actually closed. And so your counterpart, it's like they're saying, I can't come in. Like they're trying to rush in here and it's closed. They don't know, they can't find the door, or the door is locked. And so they may get discouraged. So we're being asked here to really open back up And you see how she's got that sort of protection arms across the chest. You're being asked to release and to trust. Trust your partner, trust your counterpart. It's really about trusting yourself. If you look at your counterpart as a reflection of you, as another you walking around in a different body, having these different experiences, you can understand on a deeper level, much more easily and intimately, that you're actually running from yourself. When we close off our hearts, we're running from love. We think we're running from pain, we're actually running from love. But we've learned to equate love with pain because of karmic partners, narcissistic partners, narcissistic parents, old programming, conditioning from society, from our childhood that tells us that love is pain. And so we're healing that. We're healing so much right now. The feminine energy is healing the womb. So a lot of things that are coming up for the feminine energy right now is this place of past partners who have hurt you emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. And you will be feeling a lot of sacral chakra energy. That's your creativity, your sensuality. It's where you feel safe to express yourself and your sexuality. Okay, so a lot of feminines have sort of shut down the womb space to protect themselves. And some masculines have done this as well. It's their feminine energy that is shut down because some masculines have had instances of abuse as well. And so it's not just the females, it's the males also embodying either divine feminine or divine masculine energy. But understand that we're bringing that up for healing now. And that's part of what I feel this protection is, you know, if you look back to my readings earlier in the year, or even, earlier in the year, there was a lot of sexual energy. You haven't heard myself or a lot of readers talk about that so much unless that's what they're focused on. Because what happened is that sort of had to get shut down in a sense for this womb healing to occur and for the masculine to realize how he may have been hurting the feminine energy where she may have felt that she was being used because the masculines didn't know how to properly express themselves and express the love that they felt, the depth of the love and the emotions that they felt for their feminine. And also if the masculine was in a karmic situation, it's very easy for the feminine to discern that I was just used, I was just on the side. And so that can bring up a lot of hurt and a lot of pain, especially if the feminine had been used that way in the past by masculines. So this is all coming up to the surface. So you may have a lot of cramping or your periods may be irregular if you're a female. If you're a male, you just may actually feel cramping sensations in your body. This is not unusual for male DFs to feel this. And there may be a period of void where you feel like your creativity is voided or blacked out. You may just feel like you're sitting in the void where nothing is happening. And I just urge you to reach out. Reach out on here. We have some amazing moderators who are here to lift you up. I come on when I can. That's why I don't do a lot of live readings. I just haven't been called to this year. I haven't had the energy to do that. But what I do is I pre-record them and then I can hop on there and at least say hello to you guys in the chat. Yeah, we're talking about the void and darkness. The moon comes out. So this new moon leading up to the full moon period is a period of darkness. It's a void. And there's an elemental reset going on in the planet right now. And there's this another energy of two cards here where the feminine energy is protecting himself or herself. It's okay to protect yourself. It's not okay to shut out love. So understand, and what we're healing right now is shutting out actual real love, where from people who do have our best interests at heart, from the counterpart who loves you unconditionally. But if the masculine hasn't shown up in this manner, if they've shown up in some toxic way, or they've shown up in a way where you felt maybe you were used, or that you were not a priority, or that they were never, they weren't committing to you in some way, or they weren't expressing their love, then the feminine shut down in many ways. So it's okay for you to step back and take care of yourself, feminine. Just be mindful of shutting out people right now and shutting out love when it wants to come in. Will you be able to recognize love when it walks up to your door? Because that's what I'm seeing. This is the image I've been seeing for a lot of masculines, is that they're going to show up literally at your door in the physical realm. Or if they can't show up at your door, maybe they don't have your address, they're going to come into your city if you live in separate cities or countries, having booked a hotel room, and call you and say, I'm here and I'm ready to talk. They're going to be very brave when they do this. It's going to take a lot of courage for them to do this. But feminine, we have to work on opening our hearts. And as we go through this womb healing, as we go through this sacred healing of the womb, the energy that carries life, the energy that carries this planet, we need to be really gentle with ourselves. So tell me more about the darkness. Tell me more about this void energy, please. Tell me more about this void energy. I feel like this is talking about the eclipse, because eclipses, yeah, and it's even a partial eclipse, because eclipses, and even her hair is black. Eclipses eclipse out what's not working. So this is talking about, so feminines, what you're working on right now is eclipsing out those timelines where you were not respected, you were not regarded highly, where you were maybe taken advantage of in some way by the masculine energy. Okay? Where the feminine felt used for her body and not appreciated and respected for her mind. So these are the timelines that we're closing out, not just from this lifetime, but from all lifetimes. Voice. Speaking your word. What's interesting is we have here the air element, which is all about communication and voice. And then we have here, so the darkness is leading up to the feminine energy speaking her truth and shouting her truth from the rooftops. You notice how you have the energy of a closed off energy here. We have this closed off energy. And then look, all of a sudden we have her opening up, expanding. And the vulnerability of allowing your chest to be open. And allowing the world in. The heart is open here. It's interesting because we have, it's like a ball of light and it's coming right into her heart space, if you can see that. It's interesting that that is the placement of that ball of light, that ball of energy. So not being afraid to speak your truth, feminine. So when your masculine does step up, this is not about going back to the past and blaming and shaming and saying, well, you did this and you did that. It's going to be about speaking honestly with each other and speaking from the heart, opening up the heart so that the masculine feels safe to come in. The masculine right now feels closed off because the feminine is doing all this healing, and it might be that you've attributed some of this womb healing to your masculine, when in actuality your masculine was just holding up a mirror to where there was more healing to be done. So if your masculine acted out in a way which felt disrespectful, or it felt cold, or it felt again, I just keep on going back to that feeling of the feminine feeling like she was used or he was used in some way, because males can feel that too, then I want you to understand that your masculine was playing a part. And this was a contract. I'm going to come in and I'm going to act this way, and then you're going to heal. It's going to prompt you to heal. It's going to trigger you, and then you trigger them back, and we trigger each other, and that's how we heal. That's why this is one of the most painful yet exhilarating, beautiful experiences all at the same time. It's chaos, it's turbulence, it's love, it's depth. It's like a roller coaster, and you just never know what you're going to get. So what can the feminine do to anchor in this union, spirit? What can the feminine do to help anchor in this union? I'm interesting. Silence, snow. Yeah, so this is about the feminine allowing the masculine to come forward, okay? This is about the feminine healing those last remnants of codependency where you feel like I have to come forward because he or she has been silent, and allowing that fear to permeate the silence, and instead sitting in the silence, getting comfortable with the silence, getting comfortable with healing those last parts of codependency, allowing your counterpart to come towards you in divine timing. And knowing that when they do come forward, it's going to be them speaking the truth, and you're going to speak the truth and open your hearts to each other. But right now, it's a time for the void. It's a time to go within. It's the Hermit. Remember, the Hermit card came up yesterday. The first reading I did yesterday in the morning, the very first card that came up was the Hermit card out of all the cards that could come up. And that was the overarching overall energy. And it still is. And it's continued to be for the past basically month now of all of November, since that October 31st new moon in Scorpio. Okay, we have been in this energy of depth. Scorpio is deep. We go very, very deep within. So the feminine is being asked to stand still. This is stillness. Stand still, be silent, and just, can you be comfortable in the silence? Can you be comfortable in the not knowing? Our faith is being tested monumentally right now in a way in which we've never had it tested on this journey before. So you are being asked, can you be that pillar of strength? Can you be that pillar of faith? What else can the feminine do to anchor in this union in the physical? Okay, that's like 1,000 cards. Can you show me clearly, please? What can the feminine do to anchor in this union? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Charlie. Come here. Oh, sweet pea. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were under the table. Wow. So the feminine can work on trusting her true north, and she can work on expansion. Beautiful. She can work on following the light, being the light. This is interesting. As the feminine shines her light, we know this to be true. As the feminine shines her light, okay, the light of the sun, the masculine follows. It's not that the masculine's behind. You will hear readers say that. And maybe I've even said that unknowingly before. It's not that the masculine's behind. It's that they're at different parts of the journey. It's not that the masculine, we say the masculine has to catch up, but the masculine's doing the work in the physical. It's very dense in the physical world right now. The feminine does the work for the connection to bring it together in the 5D, in the spiritual realms. She's the spiritual warfare. You know, she's working on in dream state, astral travel. The feminine is more connected to those realms at this current time. But once everything comes together, you're going to beautifully merge your energies, where your masculine will be teaching you so much about the physical world and the healing he's done in the physical world to bring this together, the endings that have had to happen for him, the aha moments that have had to occur in his physical vessel and avatar, the changes and shifts that he's had to endure in his life over this past year and a half or so, really this past year. And you're going to be sharing those things. And then the masculine will learn from the feminine how to hold space and how to anchor in the truths and the changes that he's gone through this year in the spiritual realm. So the feminine may be teaching the masculine about readings. The feminine may be showing the masculine readings. The feminine energy may be just helping the masculine own up and sharpen his intuition, which has always been there, by the way, masculine's watching. It's always been there. It's just a matter of you owning your intuition, because you've been ridiculed for it in the past, or perhaps it was scary to you because it felt like your feminine knew everything about you and you couldn't hide anything from him or her. So maybe you shoved away your own intuition, saying that's witchcraft. My masculine has actually called me a witch. Well, what are you, a witch? And I was like, well, actually, in past lifetimes, that's what I was labeled. And so I was burned at the stake in many lifetimes. Many of you were as well, males and females watching. It's that I knew him better than he knew himself. And that's very scary to a masculine energy who's always been in control. They've been in control of their money. They've been in control of their career. They've been in control of the moves they make. They've been in control of everything. And everything's gone as planned. It's been a cookie cutter life for many of these masculines. Okay, well, I got married when I was supposed to. I had kids when I was supposed to. I bought the house. I got the job, the golf membership, whatever it is. But now they're realizing that these things don't actually fulfill them. And they see the feminine over here shining her light, or shining his light so brightly. And where there has been a lot of envy here coming from the masculine energy towards the feminine. It's almost as if the masculine thinks the feminine is just sort of strolling through life. La-di-da. This is so easy for me. And I don't think the masculine has yet fully realized how much the feminine has had to go through to get to this point, how many dark nights of the soul she or he has endured before even meeting the masculine, and what they've had to do this year to help anchor in the light consciousness on the planet. I mean, look at all this energy here. She's had to work on a lot of solar plexus healing and healing his or her personal power. It's not easy work, masculines, if you're watching. It's not easy at all. But that's what the feminine signed up for in this lifetime, and what you signed up for was to do your work in the physical. So while the feminine expands this connection and this union in the 5D, masculines, you're working on expanding it in the 3D. But you understand now, masculines, that you have to, in order to hold space for the feminine, in order to hold space for this union, you have to release. You have to open up your hands and release something. You have to be willing to let something go in order to make space and create space for this union in this lifetime. Oh, beautiful. Okay. Wow. There's going to be a rebirth for many in the springtime. You guys know that I don't focus on timelines, because the ego attaches to timelines, and because I don't think as a reader most people can necessarily predict time. Okay, maybe that's somebody's specialty out there. It's just not mine. But yeah, spring equinox. So it's interesting, right? Because, well, now for some of you in the southern hemisphere, this winter equinox here in the northern hemisphere will actually be your spring equinox. So for some of you, this may resonate in other parts of the world. And if this resonates, let me know. So this could be coming for you rather quickly. For others, this indicates for me a lot of unions, not reunion. I'm hearing unions, rebirth happening in springtime. That's not that far away, guys. It's really not. I know it seems like it is, but it's going to happen. What is it, March time or April here in the northern hemisphere? It's going to be quicker than you realize, and there's going to be so much work to be done leading up to that point. A rebirth happening in the connection, and a rebirth for the masculines as they come out of their dark night of the soul. I'm not saying this is going to take up until spring, but for you guys to come together on the physical plane, it may be in springtime for some of you, and that's super exciting. So I don't want to hear, oh my gosh, that's so far away. That's so exciting. That's a couple months away. That gives you time, prepare. Separation is preparation, feminine. So prepare. This is that Pentacles energy too. This is the nature goddess energy, the Empress energy of making sure that you're going in nature, making sure that you're connecting with animals, because this is where your healing is occurring right now, feminine. And we have power coming in. So power in the springtime. I'm hearing a big, big, big influx of unions coming in here. It's like they're just going to magically start coming in the springtime. Now, I know originally I said that winter was going to be very significant for unions, and it still might be, guys. We're still in union. Okay, Freudian slip. We're still in winter. So let's see how it plays out. A lot of global shifts have occurred, okay, including this election, and I'm not going to go into detail because YouTube is banning things left and right, so I can't even really talk freely about that, unfortunately. I guess I could start another channel if I wanted to do that, but you guys know how I feel. And so it's sort of like the collective needed us right now, and so unions have been put temporarily on the back burner while we tended to the collective at large, while we tended to making sure humanity was going to be okay. Okay, we tended to this, it's sort of just mission work. The feminines are like, okay, and the masculines as well, I'm in mission work. And so holding space wherever you are on the planet, that's why we're all plugged into different parts of the world, and we're not all in one continent or one country or even one city. Some of my most adored and loved and closest divine feminine friends, one's in Australia, another's in Denmark, and two are in Georgia, Atlanta. And so, they're all over the world. And I think it's really set in place that way so that we go through a lot of these changes on our own. And yet we have each other for support. Okay, interesting. So we have winter solstice reflection. Now, where is that? Well, snow, silence, stillness. Okay. Yeah, the winter solstice, a time for reflection. So the time for reflection, things are sort of put on hold. Okay. The masculines, the feminines, both reflecting very heavily, but not to worry, because springtime bringing just this bolt of, it's like a lightning bolt of just the aha moments, the downloads for the masculines, and the rebirth as well. So I do think we'll have some unions filtering in here. Remember that union window opened up on the new moon in Scorpio. So we'll have these unions start to filter in and trickle in, but then a mass influx of unions coming in here for spring of 2021. We do have some volatility. We know this. There's volatility in the world. There's this energy, this fire energy, this passion energy, this explosive energy right now. And I feel like unions can't happen in this energy because it would be volatile and it would likely lead to another separation. So you have to understand, if you're not grounded, if the energy isn't grounded in your connection, we have to understand that it's actually best for us not to be in communication, or for us not to be in present union, because it would actually be to the detriment of your connection. So you're being protected. Separation is preparation. It's also protection. There's a protection element in place. The masculines having to walk away from things that are not serving them before they're even allowed to come forward to their feminine. Think about how that makes so much sense. Why should the masculine be allowed to come forward to the feminine if they're bringing something half-assed again? And I'm not saying, it's not to blame the masculines. I'm not even saying that out of anger. But you can't present a half of something to a divine feminine. The divine feminine knows that he or she is deserving of it all. So a lot of us were very bold. We were very blunt. And we may have even come across as cold, to our masculines, and said, this is not what I will accept. I won't accept crumbs. And I will only accept the full Monty. So the masculines were forced to really go within. They were forced to look at the depths and the shadows of their soul, to try to recognize, why is this person, the love of my life, pushing me away? And why aren't I good enough? So for a lot of them, it triggered their not enoughness wound, where they felt like, I'm not enough. I'm not enough for this person. So they may have told you, go away. You can find somebody better. I'm not good enough. You shouldn't wait. Do you think that they really meant that, feminines? I don't. It was said out of fear. It was said out of the fear of losing you. It's almost like, if I push him or her away first, then I don't have to get as hurt. But actually, either way, you get hurt in this connection, because you're pushing away a part of yourself. You're pushing away your growth. You're pushing away your shadow parts, which want to be owned. They want to be, instead of being disowned, the shadow parts want to be owned. They want to be recognized, and they want to be healed once and for all. So when the masculine pushes the feminine away, or vice versa, we're pushing away parts of ourselves. And that's why it's so painful. We think it's the person. It's actually the pain of the parts of our own self, of our own shared soul. That's so painful. So when the masculine pushes you away, it doesn't make him feel good. He's not happy. Doesn't matter who he's with or what he's doing. The pain is going to be present. And like I said yesterday in the readings, guys, very important readings yesterday. Go check them out. If the masculine thinks, at one point they thought they could escape the connection, that I can leave, I can tell them to move on, they deserve better, I'll just convince myself of that, I'm not good enough, and I'm just going to go on, and I'm just going to be miserable in this karmic connection, and I'm going to just continue to do what I've always done. But then things started crumbling underneath them. The house that they built with the karmic started crumbling, literally. And the job they had, maybe they lost a job, maybe they got demoted, something happens, shifts, major shifts changing. And as that happened, the masculine had to look very deeply within and realize, it wasn't my feminine that caused this. Meeting my feminine caused me to really understand and figure out who I am. And for me to really go deep, so that I can finally understand why I've been so unhappy for so long. So they're starting to actually be thankful and grateful for meeting the feminine, versus blaming the feminine like they did in the past. Blaming the feminine for awakening them to the truth of their heart. We have Lemuria. We have Lemuria, creating heaven on earth. Yes, creating heaven on earth. Springtime is very significant, bringing in a lot of power. So we're opening up the portals. Guys, don't think that the work being done right now is insignificant. It's extremely significant for union. It's extremely significant. Okay, the work that we're doing right now to create the changes. We're creating a landscape. We're clearing the land to be able to bring in these unions and anchor them in, because we want to anchor them in right permanently. We're not coming in to go into reunion, back into separation. Ain't nobody got time for that, okay? Ain't nobody got time for that. We're coming in to anchor the unions in permanently. That's why it may be taking a little bit longer. For those of you who are in separation still, I'll say this again. You are a first waver. If you've been in separation for a significant amount of time, you are a first waver. The waves don't really matter, okay? It's another label. But I want to reassure you that, especially if you went into separation around this time last year, or even earlier this year, you're a first waver. You are here to anchor in the unions in the physical. The other waves will follow rather quickly. We're all working together. There's no separation. There's no, I'm better, I'm ahead of you. No, none of that. It's just a label. But know that if you've been in separation for an extended period of time, and you're doing your work, that things are going to shift for you rather quickly, and that you will be a part of this springtime mass influx of unions coming into the planet. And the light will be so incredibly strong at that time that the masculines won't be able to resist the pull anymore. But that's why it's important, feminines, for you to stay still. That's why this is so important. Where is it? The stillness card, reflection, okay? Otherwise, you can bring in volatility into your connection. And just give the masculines the space and the time to figure it out for themselves. That's what they want to do anyway. That's what the masculine wants to do. The masculine energy wants to control. The masculine energy wants to be able to say, I chose this. Working on right now, feminine, one way to reduce the volatility, okay, get into alignment. Align your life. What is not aligned or what needs to change? Be honest with yourself at this time. There's no room for bullshitting yourself right now. There's just no time. There's no time. There's no room. There's no energy for that. Truth needs to be told to yourself. You see, this is like the fractured soul. Okay, this is about healing past lifetimes, healing parts of yourself that you may have shamed, the shadow parts that you may have turned away from, that now are demanding your attention. They're going to continue to get louder and louder, guys, as we lead up to this winter solstice. They're going to continue to get louder and louder, demanding your attention, demanding your time, demanding your love. Can you love the parts of yourself that you once deemed ugly? Can you love the parts of yourself that aren't perfect? Can you love your cellulite? Can you love your rolls? Can you love your crooked nose? Can you love the fact that you haven't always been loving towards every single person? Can you love the fact that you've lied before? Can you love the fact that you have committed acts that have hurt other people? Can you love the fact that you're doing your best and that sometimes you weren't? Sometimes you hurt people. Sometimes you hurt yourself. Sometimes you said things or did things that were out of alignment. Can you forgive yourself? And can you be strong enough to let go of people, places, things, experiences, and even perceptions of your counterpart that are no longer aligned to your soul? I know that's scary because it feels like you're letting go of your counterpart, and it feels like you're saying, we're done, like this is over. What you're really doing is you're shifting timelines. You're speeding up the timelines to union, and you're saying, I will no longer accept this version of myself, this version of you, this version of our connection. And you're releasing it with love. Learning to trust your path. Trust the path that you're on. Trust the wave that you came in on. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? What would your next step be? Trust that the wave that you came in on, that time is not running out. I think that's such an important message for on this journey. Trust the wave that you came in on. Trust time is not running out for you. Warrior woman, have you answered your deepest calling, the sword of truth? Have you? Or have you been acknowledging the deepest truth? Or have you decided to go into this place of ignoring your deepest truth, right? Being misaligned, out of alignment. What is your deepest truth? What is your calling? What is your path? What does that look like for you? You're a warrior woman, you're a warrior man, you're a warrior divine feminine or divine masculine watching. It's time for us all to step up and step out. I send you guys so much love on this journey. Look for another video either later tonight. There's probably a 60% chance of that. Oh my gosh, I sound like my masculine. And or look for another video tomorrow. Send you guys lots of love. Take care.